Hello everybody, my name is Walnut and today we're going to be doing a new series, first episode of this new series. I'm going to take 3 replays, analyze why I lost the game to the best of my ability, explain every mistake I've made, explain all sorts of little details and little intricacies about the game, maybe what I was thinking at the time, all sorts of good stuff like that. Hopefully this will help people out. As I know a lot of people make the same mistakes as me, or should I say I make the same mistakes as a lot of people. Yeah, let's hop right into the first replay. Alrighty, so here we are in the first replay. Let's pull up the production tab, the nameplates. Playing against this fellow WCP on Cactus Valley. Now, I think I'm going a Blink build in this replay. I've been going a Blink build more recently, and it's been working out a lot. But I made a few key mistakes in this game that led to me not being able to keep up with him. So that's unfortunate. I know where he spawned because of the Reaper coming out that way, but him getting the probe's a little bit annoying. So this build consists of a couple of fast stalkers and really fast blink. Then you go into Robo so that you don't die to Widowmine drops. But I executed the build a little bit poorly here, as I haven't practiced the build nearly as much as I've wanted to. But no Johns. So I don't know. There's not a whole lot going on here. The things I want to outline happen a little bit later. He's just, he's not actually going for Widowmine drops this game, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, no, he's not, because his factory's really late. I got a lot of stuff done with my Stalker, and by a lot of stuff, I mean I kind of sat outside of his base and didn't do a whole lot, which is, oh my god, I remember this game now. Alright, so I throw on the Double Forge, he immediately scans it, and that was really bad. Now, I want to point out something right here. Just look at my supply count. 68 out of 68. This is something I've been really bad about in this build. Or in this, like, just my play in general. Is that, I get supply blocked a lot. And it ends up having pretty negative effects on my macro. Because I can't spend all my money. And I should be maxed a lot earlier out. And I should have a lot more units when I don't. But I don't because I'm supply blocked. One of the things I've heard from certain people that helps is if every time you warp in a set of units, like you put down pylons, like as many pylons as you need for another wave of units, and you just, I don't know, I'm really bad at remembering pylons. Please God, don't fucking forget your pylons, guys. It's really important. I also in this build, I always get my gateways really late, which is very, very bad. You should get your gateway, like your extra, like up to 5 gateways fairly early on, and then you should get your 7, 8, and 9 gateways like right after you take your 3rd base, because you need as much production as you possibly can. And I make that mistake a lot. Also, this is another really big mistake here. Despite this this 3rd base being a lot easier to take against drop play, if he's cross positions or horizontal, because your bases are in a nice little triangle here. Despite it being the case, a big problem with this map is that the 3rd base is so open and it's so close to your enemy if you expand there. So it's very easy for him to do exactly what he's doing right now and just stim across the map and snipe the 3rd base. Here I don't know, I just canceled it really fast. I have all my units here. I don't know if I like scouted this to make sure he's not going into my main base or whatever. But this was a pretty optimistic fight. Well, no, I didn't lose a whole lot here. I didn't really lose sentries or anything, so I think that's fine. I got as much of the bio as I could. I should have realized he was coming into the main here. After you get pushed away from a place like that as Terran, you generally just move straight into the main base with drops. But just cleaning up the drop as best I can. One tip I will give you, I trained this out a lot with one of my clanmates, Jeku. When you have an army like what I have now, the Zealot, Sentry, Stalker, and Colossus, and you have Blink, what you should do when you position your army against a heavy drop player who plays multi-prong like this guy does, what you need to be doing is you need to have all of your stalkers on a separate hotkey. I have them on 2, and I have them sitting in the main base right about here, and then I have an observer here, and I have an observer here. So if he comes in with a medevac, I can blink to either side and immediately go and I can pick off the medevac. And then I leave the entire rest of my army with the stalkers in the same hotkeys so that I can pull them quickly. I have all of those units sitting right about here. The Zealots, the Sentries, the Colossus, and like the Observer that I have with my army. My Mothership Core I just leave patrolling between bases just like always. But it helps you, like the Zealots and the Sentries and the Colossus can generally deflect any major push that the Terran player throws at you. At the very least, it can deflect the push until your Stalkers get down there to help assist. And at the very most, it'll kill the push by itself, which is very, very good. But yeah, he goes in, snipes my third base again. I got really stubborn trying to put it down there. Don't put it close to your opponent, guys. Like on this map especially, this rush distance right here is not very long. It is not long at all. Also got really over aggressive here. My blinks were good, but if you're behind like this, moving out doesn't necessarily help, especially if his army supply is way better than yours. I'm also floating a lot of resources right now. I'm not even maxed, or I'm not even supply blocked either. I just don't have enough production buildings. If we look at my is there a, oh yeah, I accidentally hit the B button. God damn it. I don't know. I'm just gonna click on him. I have 5 gateways off of, well, 5 gateways and a robo off of 2 bases. Generally the key place you want to be is about 4 production facilities per base, unless you're going robo and Stargate. If you're going robo and Stargate, you're gonna have a bad time if you get 4 production facilities generally. Well, I mean, okay, the 1 base limit is the same, but if you have 2 bases, you can't support as many gateways because Phoenix produced so quickly. Phoenix produced really fucking fast, so you can't really afford more than like 3 or 4 gateways off of 2 base. But I should have had probably 2 more gateways, and my mineral count and my gas count would be so much lower right now. My sentry count is only at 6. You generally want like 7 or 8 against Terran. You don't want nearly as many as you want versus Zerg, because I don't know, it's not Roach Hydra, right? Like he can just sort of pick up and drop through the force fields if he wants to, like pick up and drop and run away essentially. But you do want enough that you can have hallucinations and guardian shields and a couple of force fields at all time. But yeah, that's essentially that's the biggest mistake I made this game, I think, is not having enough production facilities. I was never able to keep up with his army supply because he just spent better than me at all times. Yeah, if we his army actually costs like significantly less than mine, but he's got more army supply. It's just Colossus are really fucking expensive. This was a really bad engagement too. Don't fight in areas like that, guys. You're a Protoss player, don't fight in chokes. Chokes are for nerds. Only winners fight outside of chokes in areas like this and pull the bio ball into the chokes, because then he's the nerd. If you see his army positioned like this, it's probably not the best idea to fight in the middle of the map. This ended up going really poorly for me, despite him not having Vikings, because I wasn't able to get proper force fields. Like I zoned out a lot of the army, but I didn't necessarily zone out what I needed to. His army, like the majority of it, stayed safe behind the force fields, and now I don't have enough army to repel this necessarily, so he can kind of just focus down my Nexus if he wants, which he does very smartly. The Terran player did play very, very well this game. I believe this guy is a Masters player. He played very, very well. He's going Vikingless right now is the thing. I should have units stationed out here. Like, my main army should probably be right about here, and then I have stalkers like right here in my main base. Again, so I can stop drops while also not losing my third base. The problem is I lost so much of my army earlier that I simply don't have enough to split up my army as much as I necessarily want to. He draws me out of position with his army there, runs in with a bunch of marauders. You can't fall for that sort of bait. If you see a bunch of units on the side of the map, and again, he draws me away, goes into my main base. The main problem that happened with this game is that I played too stubborn. I didn't play active enough on the map. I didn't split up my army as much as I necessarily could have, and I lost the game because of it. My army positioning was always very bad. It was out on the map in places where I couldn't get proper force fields to zone out his army. I played my main army and all of my army in positions where if you were to attack multiple locations, I couldn't defend both of them. I would position my army at my third so that my main base is completely exposed. Against Terran players like this, excuse me, you have to split your army. Stalkers in the main base, everything else between your nat and your third, or at your third base, depending on the map. That's gonna do it for this replay. Like, it's pretty mundane from here. I just kept bleeding out and bleeding out and bleeding out because he picked me apart in the same way every single time. So we're going to move on to the next replay. I believe that one's on Echo, but I could be wrong. Anyway, I'll see you guys there. Alrighty, welcome to Expedition Lost. I lied, we're not playing on Echo. This is Expedition Lost, boys, and it's a PvZ. What I'm going to be talking about now is trading your army efficiently. Well, no, not even that. Not even trading your army efficiently, but playing aggressive on the map and posturing against Zerg players. One of the main problems I have is I play like Rain. I play extremely defensive. I don't do anything on the map, right? I don't know, man. I just don't like moving out on the map, and it's a mentality I've been trying to change, which is why I've been playing so many Blink builds recently. And I learned a new Blink build in this matchup, but in this replay, I executed it extremely poorly. Not the build itself, but how the build works. And we'll see that in just a moment here. This build is a standard CJ Hero 5-gate Blink pressure into 7-gate Blink semi all-in. And the problem I had here is that I just didn't do the sentry pressure. I executed the build fairly well. It wasn't perfect because I don't play the build, like I haven't played the build all that much. But if we look at the units tab, he has 3 Lings right now, and I'm not even moving out on the map. Sure, I don't know he has 3 Lings, but he's droning up for free here. One of the key concepts you need to understand in PvZ is that you cannot just sit back on your ass and do nothing. You have to pressure him, because he can't be allowed to spend all of his larvae on drones. If he spends all of his larvae on drones early game, then he's going to have such a strong economy that you'll never be able to keep up with your production. I go for the third base right on time, and look at the unit counts I have right now. Sure, he's already up to 64 drones. All right, whatever. I have 8 sentries, 3 stalkers. I could just go do stuff, right? Like, this is an army that with a mothership core, even without a mothership core, I can go and snipe a queen, deny creep spread, force him to build some roaches, anything at all, as long as he's not getting up to a 70 drone count for free, which I let him do this game. He even gets a 4th base at the 9-minute mark. I don't know, man. Like, you can't just sit back on your ass like this against a Zerg player over and over and over again. And I start to move out now, and I get some cute little good trades, and I find out where he's taking his base. It's over here. But at this point, like, He's at 72 drones against 54 probes. It doesn't matter how good or how efficient of trades I get at this point with my army. He is always going to be able to outproduce me. 4 hatcheries, 72 drones. And like, again, we'll watch the units lost, because I'm fairly certain he lost a lot more than me in this fight. I take an engagement right here that is admittedly a very good engagement, but the problem is he can always reinforce this. He always has the units to continue and bring the pressure on, and I don't. Actually, yeah, I pull ahead very significantly here in the units lost, but I'm being pushed back over and over and over again because he keeps bringing units to the fight. It doesn't matter how efficient I trade if he can always just throw away that many units and just be semi-fine. So that, I think that was the major mistake. I lose very shortly here, as you can see by the timer. I have no AoE, I have no meat to the army like an Immortal, I don't have High Templar, I don't have Colossus. But yeah, none of that matters, right? Like, if I had gotten that exact same, like, to start with trade where it was like 2,000 resources lost to like 3,700, if I had gotten that sort of trade and he wasn't on 70 drones and he wasn't on 4 bases and he wasn't able to just keep reproducing his army over and over and over again, I maybe could have won the game. I maybe could have sniped his 4th base. I maybe could have sniped his 3rd base. But I let him drone up to 70 drones off of 3 lings, and that was a major problem, because he can just produce whatever he wants. He can produce as much of it as he wants, and I can't. In any case, we are going to move on to the next and final replay for this episode. This will probably be a weekly series. I don't know. The recording takes a little while, so it's whatever. But in any case, we will move on to the next map. The next map is also Expedition Lost, but that one is another PvT. See you guys there. Alright, here we are on Expedition Lost. We have a Diamond Terran player named Marine King to play against us. And in this replay, I actually played a pretty alright game here in terms of harassment and I don't know, just general map positioning, army positioning. But there was one major mistake I make in the mid game that loses me the game immediately, and I sort of touched on it in the first replay, but it's kind of a different scenario, and it's a lot more of a an extreme scenario, right? Like in the first game, I didn't lose because of, like, I lost because of where my army, like how I split my army, right? Well, this is completely different. This is purely army positioning is how I lost this game. Where I took my engagements, how I took my engagements, when I chose to engage. Actually got a free stalker here, that felt pretty good. I'm just like playing aggressive on the map with stalkers when you're getting blink like this is very good. I played the build out very well this time, I think. I mean, just the opening build order itself. I normally screw up some portion of it, but I think I played the build order pretty well this time. I'm still not spending very well, and my supply blocks are still there, but up until this point, it's been pretty alright. I'm getting stuff semi on time. And I move out with a handful of blink stalkers, and I'm able to get damage done, but mistake. It's 10 minutes in the game. What do you think he's going to be doing? Medevac timings, medevac drops, anything medevac. Two base medevac timings are very strong. People still do them to this day because they are so strong. Widowmine drops happen a little earlier than this, and I didn't see one, and none hit. So I know he's going into some other form of drop, if he's doing drops at all, which 90% of Terrans do, so I need to expect that. And I don't do anything to prepare for this drop. If we look back in my main base, I ain't got shit here. I have a mothership core and literally nothing else. So we'll see what happens. I go here and I do some stuff, and I'm trading with his army, and that's like cool and all. Good blink micro and stuff like that. But I never once look at the mini map. If I look at the mini map, let me actually check the vision here. Okay, I actually don't see it right here. I see it right now. If I were looking at the mini map in this part where his army isn't even attacking mine, I see this medevac. I photon overcharge. Are my warp gates idle? Yes, they are. I warp in 3 stalkers right here, and I'm completely fine against this medevac. But my reaction time is slow. I don't look at it. I'm too busy microing against his units, and I lose half my probe line because of it. I only look back now, and then I activate photon. Okay, well now, then I activate photon overcharge, and I'm lucky enough that a Colossus pops right on time, so that I can defend against that. But that's a pretty major thing, right? Like, you need to be watching the mini map while you're engaging. You need to be able to say, alright, his army isn't fighting mine right now. I can take a quick peek, look down over at the minimap, see, are there drops coming? Is there anything over here? Is there anything in my vision radius here? Is there anything moving out on the map in this area? No? Alright, back to my units. That there needs to be that, like, that mental, like, going down to the bottom left corner, going up to the top right corner, looking at my supply, my mineral counts, my gas counts, and then going back to the game. Because I can't only focus on microing my units. Sure, I saved the stalker with 3 HP. I saved this stalker with 18 HP. But I think losing a handful of stalkers, like 3-4 stalkers in this scenario, and not losing half of my probe line, I think that's worth it. Because I'll be able to outproduce, or I'll be able to produce those 4 stalkers again in the long run if I haven't lost half my mineral line. Moving forward, cute little pickoffs here, yada yada. I don't really have the opportunity to scout inside his base anymore because I've already used Blink. So now he's going to have missile turrets, Vikings, his units are going to be inside his main base, that sort of cool stuff. He goes for another drop here, and I am significantly more prepared for this one. My army is positioned well in a spot that it can immediately respond to the drop if a drop does happen to come. My stalkers are positioned aggressively so that if I do see a drop, I know that his army is weaker at home, so that I can move into, say, the natural, I can move into the main base, I can do something with the stalkers. I don't this game because I know he's got like a lot of shit on top of his ramp, but I'm in a position where I can defend against this if need be. I didn't have that backbone when I moved out with the stalkers before, and it didn't help that I wasn't paying attention to my army. Or to the mini-map. Alright, and we have major mistake coming up very soon. Now, my stalker positioning, really good here. Really good. I have the stalkers in a place where they can intercept a drop if it comes this way, and if the drop goes past my third base into my main base, I can easily blink forward, scoot up the ramp, deal with the drop. If he drops on my third base, I have 3 Colossus, a handful of zealots, a couple of sentries. I can deal with that in any case. My army splitting is good this game. The problem comes in when I get impatient. I try and end the game for no particular reason. I don't have sufficient upgrades. I don't have sufficient tech. I don't even have Storm yet. Sure, I have 4 Colossus. I have a handful of zealots here, but I get impatient and I look to move out right now. And this is just when he adds on a large portion of Marines. And I fight in this weird, awkward, large, rampy, weird position with these like right when those Vikings lifted up, I should have backed up, right? I'm getting greedy here. I can't fight into this grass. I can't fight into this choke point. There's a lot of things against me here. There's this like giant gap here where I can't position units. There's this giant gap here where I can't position units. There's this grass here that fucks up with the AI sometimes, where if all of my zealots die over here and there's nothing left to spot over the grass, my stalkers can't shoot anymore. The Vikings there are plenty of Vikings here to snipe this many of Colossus before my count of stalkers are able to pick off those Vikings. Also, I want you to take a look at my mineral and gas count. We're both at 144-ish supply. If I had all of this money invested into units instead of sitting in the bank, I would be at 170 supply, if not maxed. If I were maxed against his army right now, I would win this fight no problem. I would have probably twice as many zealots. I would have probably 12 to 16 stalkers. I would have 4 sentries at the very least. I would have Colossus. My storm would be done. +2/+2 would be done. If not +3/+3, well, not right now. If I had backed up, it would have been. The thing is, I'm not like factoring this in. I'm not saying to myself, oh shit, I have the majority of my resources in my bank right now. Maybe I should pull back. Wait a second. He's not playing aggressive. I know I have the army to repel any sort of drops or aggression he puts on. Why don't I throw on some production, throw on upgrades, max out my army, and then engage him when I'm in an advantageous position? Because this is one of the worst engagements you can take against a Terran. And it kind of looks like it's going okay for a little while, but it really doesn't. All of my zealots get picked off very quickly. His units are sort of being hidden here behind the Vikings, which contributed to me not really being able to tell how much there was. But he's still got plenty of units. And I am down to 1 Colossus. And now 0 Colossus. And there's just nothing I can do against this anymore. This is how you lose games, right? I don't even have sufficient production. How many gateways do I have? I have 4 gateways. I have 4 gateways with 1,500 minerals, 800 gas in the bank. One of them's not even like transformed into a warp gate yet. I need to be spending more efficiently, and when I see a disadvantageous engage location, I need to like pick off what I can and then just back up and be fine, because I had an army that could defend against him if he were to push me. I had an army that could defend against medevacs. I could defend against pretty much anything, but I didn't have an army that could beat him in this choke point right here. This choke point is what lost me the game. I maybe could have won even with my like terrible spending if I had engaged anywhere else. But spending and army positioning, keep those in mind. Army splitting, playing aggressive on the map. All of these things are very, very important. In any case, thank you guys so much for tuning in. I hope you have a fantastic day, week, month, year, etc. Be sure to follow my Twitch channel at twitch.tv/Anthony356, my YouTube channel, well, right here because you're already there. Be sure to check me out on Twitter at Walnut356, and yeah, just have a fantastic rest of your day, everybody.